might want to sit on this end because it's sliding on me. Let's see here. Good evening. My name is Pat McLaughlin. I'm the Director of Public Works. I'm happy to see such a good turnout tonight, that you're all interested in our Sherman Street Bridge project replacement. We've got a good representation here. We've got a senator, a representative, the mayor, a few council people. Thank you for coming. Jim Butler from the Regional Council of Governments is here. They've been a proponent of the project right from day one. In fact, this project is funded a little, we've got state funding involved with it too, besides federal funding and municipal funding. So that's a good thing. Keeps the city's share down to 10% of the total project cost. So tonight we're going to have a presentation. Our consultant engineers, WMC, John Wengel is going to be doing most of the presentation. We've also got a representative from DOT Rights of Way to talk a little bit about that, Mr. Dennis McDonald. And then we'll have questions and answers at the very end. We ask you to hold your questions till the end so that the presentation can move fairly smoothly and rapidly. It is a pretty lengthy presentation. It's about half an hour probably. So we ask you to hold your questions till the end, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. As Pat just explained, we have the meeting agenda, so I'm going to go over some general information. I'll do an introduction, project description, and at the end we'll have a question and answer. Some general information. As most of you have already received, there's a meeting handout with a project background, project description, contact information, and some comment forms. It's all voluntary, so you're not required to fill this out. And it's pretty much, we like to see how this information that you guys provide the department, the city of Norwich's outreach efforts. Now, I'm going to read a statement, a Title VI statement. This pamphlet is also available in Spanish and English out in the hallway. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, denied the benefits of, or be subject to discrimination under any program, activity, or benefit receiving federal financial assistance. Please note that brochures notifying you of your rights under Title VI can be found in the hallway. They are provided in English and Spanish. We also have a voluntary Title VI demographic survey. It is voluntary, but your participation is appreciated and helps us ensure that all persons are included in our public outreach program. Okay, so this is, as Pat noted, this is a City of Norwich project. They have retained Wengel McDonald Costello to provide the design service for the bridges, associated roadway work, and site improvements. My name is John Wengel. I'll be the project manager on this project. Mr. Jay Costello is here in the audience also tonight. He's the vice president of the company. As most of you probably know, the Sherman Street over the Antic River, there's a blow up of the area. There are two bridges that were in question, or we're going to be replacing under this project. It's the Western Bridge, 04047, and then the Eastern Bridge, 03797. So there's actually two bridges on Sherman Street that cross the Antic River. This project will be replacing both of them. So there's a couple other call-outs there. The Upper Falls Mill Dam, just so you can kind of get an idea where you are. It's a blow-up of the intersection. So we're really looking at these two bridges as a project and the associated roadway work. Reasons for the project. The westernmost bridge, or Bridge 04047, was constructed in 1955. Later on, there was some reconstruction work in 1988. The superstructure condition was rated a poor condition, which is rated a 4. The substructure condition, which was a 6, is a satisfactory condition. Bridge 03797, the Eastern Bridge, was constructed in 1920. It was reconstructed and widened in 1964, and there's been some recent repairs in 2017. The superstructure for that bridge is rated 3, or in serious condition. The substructure condition is 4, which is also poor condition. Like I said earlier, in 2017, the city did some superstructure repairs to that bridge. Now, the numbers there, the serious condition, poor condition, these are DOT ratings that they go through every 2 years. They inspect these bridges. So currently, the bridges are still in a 2-year inspection cycle. As the bridges get, as those numbers go down, they get 1 year, 6 months, so on and so forth. Currently, they're still safe, but they will do warrant replacement. So another reason for the project is we're really trying to reduce the flooding on Sherman and Asylum Street. And we're going to square off the Sherman and Asylum Street intersection geometry. Some of our project goals. We're going to replacement of the 2 bridges that warrant replacement. We're going to reduce the potential flooding and improve safety at Sherman and Asylum Streets. We're going to minimize disturbance to the traveling public. We avoid unplanned emergency closure of 03797. And we want to complete the construction within our anticipated schedule. Some pictures I have for you in the slide. This is looking north on Asylum Street, so we're looking at the bridge. The western bridge is to our right of the screen. This is looking east on Sherman Street, so this is looking across the 2 bridges and going up the hill on Sherman Street. This will be an elevation view of the easternmost bridge. So this is where the current condition is right now. We have existing stone pier, existing abutments, some concrete superstructure. The western bridge, which is the larger of the 2 bridges, is an elevation view of that. So you can see the Yantic River and the pier, utilities hanging on the side. Our overall project plan, we plan on both projects on Sherman and Asylum Street, which is highlighted there in yellow. We're going to do a roadway reconstruction of about 1,030 feet. And we're going to be replacing both the eastern and western bridges. The orange are actual structures. The green are areas where we're going to be filling in. And the light browny orange is actually areas we're going to be cutting. On Asylum Street, there's approximately 525 feet of roadway reconstruction. We plan to raise the profile at the intersection by about 18 inches. And that's at the intersection of Asylum and Sherman Street. And then we're going to taper down and connect into the existing roadway. That raise in profile requires us to install a retaining wall along Asylum Street, or we're going to be filling in the river, and we don't want to fill in the river. We want to keep it open so the water can flow through. Part of this project, we're going to be relocating all the utilities and the drainage on that road. There's a lot of utilities. It's very close to the existing bridge, and in order for us to get in there and construct the bridge, we'll need to relocate them. So we're going to try to push them more to the west, to that western sidewalk, trying to push them all over there. That way the contractor can work on the bridge abutments and the retaining wall with less stuff in his way or her way. So like I just mentioned, we're going to be putting new sidewalks in, new pedestrian ramps, and new crosswalks as part of that project. On Sherman Street, we're going to realign it slightly to the north. So you can see to the left of the screen, there's that little gray area, which is the existing bridge. So we're going to square it, pretty much make a 90-degree intersection instead of having that skew, hard right turn from Sherman Street that's very skewed very hard. We're going to try to make that a 90-degree turn. We're going to be raising that profile to help reduce flooding. And like I was saying, as that green area is the areas we're going to be filling in. So as we raise that profile, we're going to have to grade out existing earth to make up for that difference. We're also going to be relocating and installing new drainage on Sherman Street, new sidewalks, pedestrian ramps, and crosswalks. Currently, the existing sidewalk is to the north side of the bridge. And then you come across Sherman Street to Asylum Street, and then you have to cross the road. Right now, we're going to propose to extend that sidewalk on the southern side past the park entrance down the southern side of the bridge and connect it to the sidewalk on Asylum Street. This is an elevation view, similar to the picture, but this is a colored up view. We're going to install a 98-foot clear span with a precast northeast deck bulb T. We're going to remove the existing pier to increase the hydraulic capacity and reduce flooding and debris. Our wing walls are all going to be aesthetically treated with a concrete form liner. At this time, the city is discussing using a natural stone-looking form liner, which mimics the look of real stacked stone. The concrete abutments will be founded on bedrock. This is a cross-section view. Cross-sections like slicing a sandwich, you get to see the different layers. So this is pretty much what that looks like. So those beams that I was telling you about, the top portion of the beams are much wider than the lower portion. That kind of speeds up our construction time. We're able to install those, connect them together, and directly pave right on top of it, trying to keep this construction moving fastly. So we're going to widen the bridge. It's going to consist of two 12-foot travel lanes, two 4-foot shoulders, and a 5-foot concrete sidewalk. Utilities are going to be relocated on the bridge. We're going to install a sewer pump station. We're going to pump the sewer across the bridge so it's not hanging down below in the flood waters. We're going to tuck it up inside the bridge structure. We're also going to install a new water main and gas main on that structure. We're going to install a new bridge rail on the bridge as well. The Eastern Bridge, this is an elevation view of the Eastern Bridge. This bridge, we're planning to do a 54-foot clear span precast concrete arch. We're going to remove the existing pier so we can improve the hydraulic capacity and reduce flooding. We also are going to treat this bridge with that form liner that I mentioned on the previous slide. Both the concrete abutments will be founded on bedrock. This bridge will have MBR guide rail because this bridge, we're making a little longer than the other bridges, and we're going to slope the earth out on the side. So we're going to have guide rail, a typical guide rail you'll see driving along the road. So we're going to cross that bridge, and there'll be no bridge rail on this. The cross section is very similar to the other one, but we're going to have the 12-foot travelway, the 4-foot shoulder, the sidewalk, 5-foot sidewalk, and then we're going to have the guide rail, and then we're going to slope down to the end of the culvert. The bridge will be about 60 feet in length. We're going to relocate the utilities inside the earth above the box or the arch culvert and below the pavement. So in that green area is where the utilities will pass through. This project is planned to be staged over 2 separate seasons. Our first season, we'd like to relocate the utilities in Asylum Street. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of utilities out there. We want to do the work we need to do to get them out of the way. Also that first year, we want to install the easternmost bridge, the 03797, with that precast arch. And we want to complete portions of Sherman Roadway to allow traffic to be open to the public as soon as we complete the Eastern Bridge. And then after winter comes, we're going to shut down for the winter, open up everything, and then come back in the spring in our second year. That year, we plan to install the Western Bridge, 04047, complete all the work on Sherman Street, and then complete all the roadway work on Asylum. Maintenance and protection of traffic. During construction, there will be a detour to maintain traffic around the construction activities. Sherman Street will be closed during construction, but reopened between the seasons. Asylum Street, we would like to maintain one-way traffic in the northbound direction during construction. We're working towards minimizing the duration of the detour and Sherman Street closure with potential accelerated bridge construction methods. As mentioned before, we talked about the bulb T with the beam being wider at the top, the precast arch. Those are some of the things that we're doing. We're also going to look at more methods to decrease that amount of time the bridge will be detoured. Right now, this is our planned detour route. We plan on detouring traffic from, I guess, the eastern side, up Lafayette, around through Route 2 and 32, and down the New London Turnpike, and vice versa to the south. Sachem Street, Route 2, West Main Street, and then up Asylum. Public utilities and construction. Utilities in the project area consist of overhead, telecommunication, and power lines. On Sherman Street, we plan to locate those further to the south during construction so we can install to the two bridges. On Asylum Street, we want to relocate to the east side near the end of the project. We'd like to move them all over to the other side of the road. The gas will be temporarily capped during construction, reinstalled by the winter time, and then capped again in the next spring to complete the work. As I mentioned earlier, we're planning to put a new pump station and relocate into the road. So we want to put a new pump station, let it feed gravity down to this pump station, and then we're going to pump it over the bridge so that pipe that I showed you earlier on that elevation view is not hanging in the water. It's going to be tucked up under the bridge. And we're also going to relocate the water into the road. Some of the environmental considerations: we want to limit our inland wetland impacts during the bridge and retaining wall construction. We're going to use temporary cofferdams to handle the water and confine construction work. Contaminated soil and groundwater will be removed, treated during construction. Some of that material out there is known to be contaminated. The level of contamination, if it's too bad, is going to be shipped off and treated properly. Best management practices, such as silt fence, hay bales. You might not know what best management practices are, but things that we can do to keep siltation out of the river, things that we can help protect the environment. So we plan on implementing a lot of those best management practices during construction. We will be required to get a city, a DEP, and an Army Corps of environmental permits as part of this project. We had an archaeological study performed, and at this time there's no findings of historic or Native American significance in the area. Rights of way. As part of this project, rights, easements, and minor acquisitions will be required based on our preliminary design plans. They are preliminary and they're going to be subject to change. And right now we do have some plans here, so if you are here and you are a property owner and you'd like to come up and see what kind of work's going to be done around your property, feel free to talk to me after the project. Dennis McDonald is a project coordinator from the Department of Transportation. He'll be here to explain some of the right-of-way process for you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis McDonald. I'm a representative from the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Good evening. My name is Dennis McDonald. I'm a representative from the Connecticut Department of Transportation Division of Rights-of-Way. I'm just here tonight to briefly speak and explain a little bit about the rights-of-way process. So essentially, the function of the Division of Rights-of-Way is to acquire all property and property rights necessary for the project. This is done in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Section 13A73, 13A98E, and the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Now, as John just explained, right now we're looking at some partial acquisitions, easements, construction easements, and rights. This is subject to change as the design progresses, but it gives a general idea of what we're looking at. So the right-of-way process. Once property impacts have been determined, each impacted property owner will receive a letter of intent to acquire. This essentially initiates the right-of-way process and provides a little explanation of how the process works. Soon after the letter is received, a valuation process will take place, and once a value has been established, a written offer of compensation will be made to each property owner, impacted property owner. The offer comes in the form of a letter and provides a detailed breakdown of the specific property impacts and the dollar value associated with each impact. Property owners will be given time to consider the offer and negotiate should they wish. If an agreement is reached, an acceptance document is signed, and a closing will take place approximately 30 to 90 days later. If an agreement cannot be reached for whatever reason, the state will utilize its power of eminent domain and acquire through the condemnation process. Now, I understand this does have a very negative connotation, but many times this is done to keep a project on schedule. And if the state does elect to pursue eminent domain, the original offer is deposited in the court system, available for withdrawal at any time, and property owners can continue negotiations or file a formal appeal for a reassessment of damages through the court system. If the property owner elects to file a formal appeal, it must be done within 6 months from the date the state files for eminent domain. And that's essentially the right-of-way process in a nutshell. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at the conclusion of the presentation. And I also have with me tonight a question and answer brochure if anyone would like a copy. Turn it back over to John now.
Thank you, Dennis. Construction cost. At this time, we're estimating that both bridges, all the roadway work, all the utility work is going to cost about $13.4 million. As Pat mentioned earlier, there will be 80% federal funding, 10% state, and 10% city. So the breakdown, the feds will pay about $10.7 million. The state and the town is about $1.35 million. The project schedule. Currently, we're in the design process. The plan at this time is to start construction in the spring of 2022 and complete the project in the fall of 2023 for a total duration of about 20 months. Now, like I said, the schedule is preliminary and it's predicted upon the availability of funding, permits, and rights-of-way acquisition. Some contact information for everybody. The City of Norwich is their project, so Mr. Pat McLaughlin, he's the Director of Public Works. He's involved in this project. Mr. Brian Long, he's a city engineer. Myself, John Wengel, and Mr. Jay Costello are here from WMC Engineers. BL Companies is a liaison to the state, so since there's some state and federal money, the Connecticut Department of Transportation is involved. They hire a liaison to handle a lot of the managerial and administration tasks along with plan reviews and design reviews. This whole presentation will be on the City of Norwich's website. So you'll be able to access this to get any of that contact information, review any of the plans, go over the presentation in the comfort of your home. Also, Mr. Brian Atwick, he's from the Department of Transportation. He'll be the project manager and coordinator for the district, or for the DOT, excuse me. Thank you. I'd like to take any questions and answers, or Q&A at this time. Yes, sir.
When the project is done, when the bridge comes out onto Salem Street, Sherman comes out onto Salem Street, will that be cut square, or will the corners be rounded?
Corners will be rounded.
Will tractor trailers be allowed to use it?
It's very tight there. It's going to be very limited.
Because it is so tight.
Yeah.
The last time a tractor trailer used it, it took down guardrails. And every time tractor trailer takes down guardrails, they run. I know because I was a truck driver. They run, and the city pays for it.
We plan to realign to make it 90 degrees. We're also going to widen the bridge, and we're going to be putting radiuses in there because we know that is an existing problem. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to move it to the north and make it straight, so it'd be a little easier. Now, it's still tight because that Asylum Road is still right there. So it's going to be very, very tight for tractor trailers to make it, especially if there's oncoming traffic.
I'd like to touch bases on what he said. They've actually taken the corner of that bridge down twice in the last year. One of the gentlemen from the city, when they came to replace it, said just the piece was like $2,500. That said, it should never be tractor trailers going down that street. Right now, once a week at least, a tractor trailer almost gets stuck. They're constantly hitting the side of the bridge or the guardrails. And I don't know why tractor trailers are allowed on Sherman Street or on Asylum Street. They're too narrow and they're too windy. And they go over that 20-ton limit bridge all the time. Every day a tractor trailer goes across
the street. Every day they're backing up and backing up.
So that's something maybe the mayor and some other people might want to address as far as enforcement of people, truck drivers going across that bridge, because it's the same people pretty much all the time.
You're saying it's in poor condition, so it's really unsafe for them to continue to do that. And then we go over in cars sitting there when school gets out, stuck on the bridge, waiting to get off the unsafe bridge. So it happens every day, though, tractor trailers over.
What's up in the city you probably take into account.
Absolutely. That's it.
I do have some boards up here, so when we're, yes, sir.
What's the life expectancy of the bridge?
Oh, over 60 years at least, yeah, I mean, or plus, Jay, would you say 60 years or more? At least, 60 years, 75, 7,500 years? I mean, everything's gonna be brand new. We're gonna put it on rock, so big flood comes through, it's gonna stay there.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, during the relocation of the utilities, how long are the residents of the immediate area going to be expected to be without gas, water, electricity.
At a minimal at best, you know, they're gonna be working during the day, and at the end of the day, everything should be reconnected. You know, some of the work that we have to do in the beginning is to set up the water line so we can turn the water off on Sherman Street. So we'll do some connections, get those ready, and then you'll turn off the old connection, put the new one on, and then as they go, we're gonna be installing, because there's 2 water mains out there, actually. You know, the gas main's gonna be in place, they're gonna put a new gas main in before they switch it over, so duration shouldn't,
So they're gonna
there'll be minimal durations of
They're gonna change
closure.
out a 6-inch gas main and relocate it
There's
one day.
2 gas mains out there, too.
One day.
Not in one day. They're gonna put the big main in first, then they do the connections to the house.
Okay, all right.
You know, it's not like they're, yeah,
So in the meantime-
Yes.
So in the meantime.
Correct, yeah.
We're not gonna, that's what I'm saying, we're not gonna go for days without, say, the availability of
no, you know,
basic infrastructure.
everything will be, at the end of the day, everything will be reconnected.
Same thing with the sewage.
Yes. I mean, it'll be, as we're actually doing some of the work, there'll be some,
They'll let us know
Yeah.
step by step, like today, you're not gonna have sewage.
oh, you can still flush the toilet.
Where's it going?
Where's it going?
That's why I.
It's, we're gonna put in a new sewer system, so we're gonna start down at the pump station and work our way up. As we work our way up, we're gonna connect in all those existing laterals. So you should be able to flush your toilet right
There's
there.
never gonna be a situation where we're gonna be completely.
I mean, like I said, it might be a couple hours when they're cutting, you know, yeah.
They're gonna notify you as
Yeah.
they move up, they go to each house, and, okay, tomorrow we're gonna be doing
Right.
extra water.
Right, great.
It's not like you're just gonna suddenly have your water shut
Yeah,
off.
well, yeah, we were just more concerned with it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Coming across that bridge.
I live directly across the street, so I'm gonna be the most impacted by all of the noise, the dirt,
Mhm.
the shut-offs. It's gonna
Mhm.
happen all the time.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I wanna see it improve.
What are you gonna do about the restaurants that would be dependent on gas and water?
The restaurants, which restaurants are you referring to, sir?
There's Phillies and Shrimp, and there's another restaurant on Shrimp.
When the gas gets turned off, it's gonna be capped, so that gas is still gonna feed all those services. The gas across the 2 bridges, there's no services until it gets to Asylum, so we're gonna cap it at each end. So that gas is still gonna be able to come down and go into all the residences. Yes, sir.
What about the traffic regulation? No, Pat mentioned something about stop sign? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the volume of traffic currently on the bridges?
One of the streets has about,
I may not hear your question.
yep,
Rob.
no, we did some,
Traffic coming from Asylum up Sherman and the traffic coming down Sherman across the bridges onto Asylum.
I do have some of that information for you. On Sherman Street, there's about 5,000 vehicles per day. On Asylum Street, there's 8,000 vehicles a day. Yes.
I was just curious, you talked a little bit about contaminated soil.
Yes.
Environmental issues. Are you dredging part of that channel out at all?
When we move the structure back, we will be cutting some of that material out.
And
That
where is the contamination there?
The contamination, is a lot, from my recollection, is mostly in the sediments from the river. As you're aware, you know, the industrial nature of most towns in New England, a lot of chemicals would just dump in the river. So a lot of the sediments
From the mills that run?
from mills, yeah, all over. And there's levels of, so what we do during construction is we'll actually have people out there, when that material that's been identified as contaminated, it actually gets removed, tested, and to see what kind of level of contamination there is in the mass, and either put back or removed and disposed of properly.
And if you remove it and it's disposed of appropriately, are you going to replace that soil?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Stop signs. Are we getting stop signs?
I believe the city's intent is to install some stop signs at the intersection. There is quite a queue length on Sherman Street for people trying to turn left and right, and people on Asylum Street. They do travel very fast, much faster than the posted speed limit, and so this way people, the length won't queue up the line. Yes, sir.
The city, working with a developer, dredged the Fall River Basin south of the bridge towards the falls in the early 80s. So the sediment and everything you see there now was deposited after that effort. Was any thought given to opening up that channel more? instead of allowing it to just continue to fill in. Because you talked about the concern of water flow, velocity, flooding and stuff like that.
I believe there was some discussion, I know, Pat, you might want to discuss that, but at this,
There were a lot of options looked at along the way. Our preliminary engineering phase lasted a very long time. We looked at a lot of different options. Some of those options included cutting out widening out the river channel, essentially dredging it out. Those were, because of the contaminated soils, and two, the environmental impact and the difficulty in permitting, those were ruled out.
Were there test bores taken?
Yes.
And the levels were still high to meet those standards that you don't want to deal with?
Yeah.
Yes.
We did a lot of environmental tests. Sediments were not good.
Okay.
yes, sir.
When you raise the level of the Silo Street, how far from the bridge south will it go?
I guess down to this town right here, probably about 250, 300 feet. Those are the row of houses, so as we raise it up, yes.
Both directions.
So both directions, we're about 300 feet each way, to the south and to the north. This road's going to be raised up, and then we're going to curve it down and then tie it in.
Well, the reason I ask, because I live beyond it.
To the north or south?
On it, on the other way.
Okay.
Also on a hill in front of my driveway. That'll be the lowest point.
Yeah, right now, right, the lowest point of the road is proposed to be right in this area.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna raise that, then
Well,
my house.
By the time we get to that area, the northern part, we're going to be pretty much at existing grade. So right now, there's that low point there, the water bleeds off. So we're only going to raise it up, and then we're going to come back down, so. No, we won't be near the driveway. Maybe 50, 60 feet from it. And there is a basin, I believe, at the end of your, some close to, a basin, catch basin? Somewhere there, yeah. Any other questions? Well, I do have some boards up here we plotted out, so if you'd like to come up and investigate. I also did bring a set of plans, so if anybody wants to come up and take a look at a little more technical side of things, with all that boring engineering mumbo jumbo on it, you feel free to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you for turning out, learning more about the project. And if you have any questions, you can call the engineering office too, as they pop up. There's actually on the sheets, there's questions where you
I
can
have
submit it
questions.
to.
Sure.
As they raise the road, what is my expectation of getting to my house and use my driveway? I mean, how will they accommodate as they're raising it? Because I'm right across the street. Can't raise it
Well,
18
yes,
inches and
yeah,
expect
they're
it
not going to do it all in one day. What they usually will do is they'll raise it little by little.
with my driveway?
Yes, and then most likely, which number are you, ma'am? Okay, okay. So, yeah, so I just want to, okay, so 432 is right here. So, yeah, as we,